Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. It is the 7th of September 2018. Just a few things to get through. Mr. Cheswick has left YouTube. Well, his music videos he's left on his YouTube channel, and then he's left on a video explaining the reason he's leaving, which I understand in a certain most of it. He was trying to flag a few people as Ute and Baron Bronkovich or something like that, and another person, I can't remember the third one. He was calling them out because I think on the Sun and Moon they have wrenches or something like that, or other administrators, or was it on Roxanne Glen or John Smith Glowline? I'm not sure which. I mean, the thing is, I guess and then he was saying like on Jamie Brown that people ignored his message and were just like, saying hi to them and this, that and the other. But I suppose the thing is, I've seen Ute's name up on a lot of, and Baron, I think, on even Beyond the Imaginary Curve, and I've seen Ute, I'm sure, on Poncho Pete. So I don't know whether necessarily just because you have a wrench. I have a wrench on, is it Sheeps and Neeps, Poncho, and I think that's it, isn't it? Yeah. But they're not, no, they're just given to you, isn't it? The people just decide that, they want to give you these things. Sometimes I think it's like, maybe a bit of respect, or sometimes it's because they want you to actually, use them. But it all depends. Different people are different. I suppose, like, really, it's up to the people running the YouTube to administer who's on there. But a lot of people have the idea that freedom of speech, whether you're going to give you enough rope to hang yourself, or to so that allow people to say things, because plus and minus, good and bad, because sometimes you learn from each thing, and you learn different things about different people. If you always use your wrench so that they can't speak, then you won't learn about that person, whether they are. And also, like, if they are an agent or a shield or someone who's a globe believer, then only by communicating can these things ever change. No one's beyond redemption, as it were, isn't it? Everyone, all of us started as, I assume all of us started as globe believers, and we've all changed, and each person has a different journey. But I do understand his frustration, because if he believes that these people are questionable and he's bringing it to attention, everyone's ignoring him. It may not be that everyone is ignoring him, it might just be that people are trying to be civil, or it all depends what was said and whatever. But I understand the frustration. I sometimes feel it these days when I see on certain channels I go on there, and I see, I think, I'm thinking like the way things are, and the injustices and inequalities, and the fact that truth is hidden, and all this stuff that we're all learning. My journey's only started from last year, so obviously Mr. Cheswick, he's been on there for 10 years, and I think I remember his original channel actually, but I don't know. I remember because he had the picture of the Big Brother as his logo. So yeah, mine's only been from last year, of Flat Earth. And I guess 9/11 to a certain amount, because I believed, I've already mentioned what I believed in, this, that and the other, but I'm getting frustrated when I'm seeing that I now understand that everything, like as a child I understood this, but it was taught away from me, and now I understand that the world we're living in is a fiction to a certain degree. I don't mean simulation theory, I mean in the sense that we all decide, well, not we, the people before us have, through evolution, through time, have decided this system that we live in, banks, governments, people of interest, teaching, schools, all that stuff, the name of a tree, what it's called, different languages, maybe even religion, all these different things that we all take for granted without thinking about them, that they're just there, they are life, whereas they're not. It's just like a game of Monopoly, or a game of life, probably a better example, where this has been laid down to you, and you have to play these rules, and you have to do these things, but it's all invented, it's all a construct. And sometimes I hear people saying, don't worry about things, or be positive, and this, that and the other, and I'm thinking, Yeah, I understand. I understand. Like some people's idea is that if you're positive, things will change, and it's positive vibes and all that. But I'm thinking about, well, man, there's loads of people suffering. We as flat earthers, we may not be suffering. All we're suffering is that our truth is being hidden. We know that the globe isn't as they say it is, and we know all these things, but we can't change everyone's understanding overnight. Yeah, so but there's loads of people that can't be positive because they're starving. They just died when I was talking to you. They died of malnutrition. They died of a bullet in a war because of the way that we all are playing this game of life where, we have division, we have borders, we have identity and all that kind of stuff. They died just now. Another person died of a disease that's curable in the West, but they don't have it because they don't have the biologists to make it, or they can't afford it, or because their country is building nuclear weapons instead. Another person just died in this country because they were too cold. They didn't have their own house. Oh, another one's just died. They just jumped in front of a train, or they jumped over a bridge, or they walked into the ocean. Another person just died right now because they couldn't take the complexities of life because they were just young and they were going to school and they were bullied. All these things are all attributable to the world we're living in. So yeah, I understand people saying, "Oh, be positive, don't worry, things will happen." Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I wonder if it's sort of a gatekeeperish type thing. Don't worry about it, sort of, because I feel that is the biggest problem of man is I was going to say laziness, but that's probably a loaded term, but our apathy to just say, yeah, tomorrow. But what about all our yesterdays? All those yesterdays of people that they will never have any tomorrow. Oh, that sounds a good title. I have to try and remember that. But you know what I'm trying to say? So I understand people's frustrations because it's very difficult. And then I'm worried. I was thinking, like, what's going to happen? Like me, you've heard me on my podcast recently. I'm getting quite depressed when I think about all this stuff and the fact that the lies, the fact that most people are not even aware of the concept of the life the existence we're living in is a fabrication, as it were, a one that we all choose to live in, that we're born into. That, you could say, well, some people say, well, no, it's not a fiction, it's not like Game of Life or whatever, because we've evolved through time. This is the way, this is the best way, but it's not the best way because look at all the things I've just listed that are happening, and that's just me from my imagination. But imagine the injustices and inequalities that are happening to how many people around the globe at this very moment, or within this very day. What about them? How can we be positive, and how can we? And then I'm thinking, like, what's going to happen? Am I going to, when you feel that there's something that you can't achieve, like you can't. I mean, I'm not going to keep getting depressed, am I? And eventually, am I just going to give it up? Because that's what humans normally do, isn't it? When or I just keep making the same video over and over again. I mean, that's not helpful either. I mean, the only reason to keep repeating things is new people may hear them. But then that's a shame for the people who've heard it all before. But that's why we repeat things. That's why novelists write book after book after book, telling the same message but in different ways, because we all have our own message to tell. We all have our own thing that that bugs us, and we tell it in different ways or different times. But yeah, I just worry about that when you reach this stage of like banging your head on the wall and there's nothing you can do to change it. You just hope that your voice can at least show that you weren't complicit, or your voice can help to make people aware and maybe over time reflect and change. The other thing I was thinking about was the globe. The NASA pictures, and I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, why is the pictures always the same side? That same, it's a circle from the outside, from like, the front, or not the front. There's no such thing as direction in space, according to them. So what I mean is it's always that same bit. Why have they never taken the top or the bottom? Because I'm thinking, like, from that side, it looks a bit flattish. You can't see the rotundity of the Earth. So I was thinking about, why have they never flown? Like, we've got drones. Everyone's got drones. They fly over every bloody thing. NASA never thought about flying something over the whole of the Earth from higher up enough. It'd have to be, like, I don't know how far, because it has to be the distance of the size of the Earth to get the whole thing. I mean, I know we got pictures, I say so-called pictures from the space station, but they're too close. So and I know they fly over different parts. You can see different things. But I mean, the picture of the blue marble, when you see the picture of through different times of how it's changed and the colour and the contrast and all that kind of stuff and the size of the bits of land, they're always that same side shot. Why is no one, I mean, maybe because wherever they were flying to, they weren't flying. I mean, I don't know how they gather these photos. If it's going to the moon, maybe that's because the moon is across and it's not above the Earth, or it's not below the Earth, as it were. I know there's no such thing as direction, but you know what I'm trying to say. So why don't we have, like, from the top down? Because I'm thinking, if it's a circle from the top down, like if you looked at the South Pole and the North Pole from the bottom up, as it were, you would see the more of the roundness, no? Or would it look like the same? Would it still just look like that same circle, the blue marble, because it's circular? Is it the same? But if it's, I don't know. It just came to my mind. Why have they never done that? Why have they never flown over the top or underneath? And then I was thinking, because I was looking up, trying to find if there was such a shot. I couldn't find one. And then I found this one. It was showing. It was a day of the Earth. Well, there was two of them. And one was like, they said that they sent a camera that took pictures and they put it together. Now, I don't know their process, but I'm just thinking, if the Earth is moving around, and assuming this camera, whatever it was attached to, is moving around as well, how did they manage to get the Earth always in the same position? Because they've done, like, I know it's like a picture they probably took every week or every day or whatever. Did they wait for it to be in the same place before they took the picture so that they could do because when they put them together, it looks like, the Earth is spinning. I'm thinking, how do you get that picture if everything's moving around you and you're moving as well? Because I assume the camera has to be moving if it's in some orbit or something. It's not, even if it was, I mean, if it was moving at the same as the Earth spinning, then yeah, I can understand it would be steady. But if it's stationary and the Earth is spinning, and I don't know which way it's spinning, because apparently it's on an axis, even though there's no direction in space, so I'm not sure how you know it's on an axis, but and you never see a picture of the Earth on its axis because they always straighten it out for you. But if it is spinning, how do they... I assume it's like spinning around, and it's not spinning up, down, left and right. It's just spinning left and right. It's spinning that like that. I'll move my hands, you can't see. So obviously it keeps changing, because you can see the bits of land moving around and coming back and moving around. And I'm just thinking, it's moving as well. Its position, it's not only spinning, but it's also moving, isn't it? Because the universe is expanding. But maybe it's so minute that over a month you'd never notice the little shift. I don't know, but it just... The main thing is like, why have they never filmed all the way around? It's a bit like, why have they never filmed, when astronauts come out of things, that they never had like a full, shot coming back. And I know they're going to say, well, why would anyone want to see that? What? You do realise we are so obsessed with pictures and photography, these mankind. We, God knows how many pictures people have taken since they've sat these phones, these smartphones. I don't have enough hard drives to keep all these pictures. God knows, like if an alien ever comes, if they do exist, and they ever come to the Earth, and they see all these pictures that people have stored up, because in the past you put them in a photo album and that was it, and you may have like 10 photo albums, and you think that was a lot. If you actually had to print out all your photos and stick them in photo albums, you'd fill up bloody rooms. And that's just one person. We're obsessed with capturing the same things, each one of us. We have drones, people with cameras on drones filming over things. Amateurs putting cameras on balloons and sending them up. And you want to tell me that NASA doesn't think that it'd be, that they should put bloody normal cameras, not fisheye lens, on the outside of the shuttles, back and forward, not on the rockets coming down, not only show bits of it, but actually the whole journeys. And then also of the Earth sending, if they're going to send a camera to, far enough away to get this spinning Earth, why they didn't get the camera to rotate around, assuming they can move around in the vacuum. Why didn't they, get the whole picture, the whole Earth, a camera all the way? Isn't that pretty normal? Isn't that pretty standard? Everyone would want to see everything, no? I'm just thinking of like in Doctor Who. Sorry to bring sci-fi into this, but the TARDIS is bigger on the inside than the out. And that when every companion goes in, the first thing they do once they go in and say, whoa, it's bigger on the inside than the out, is they come out and they walk around the whole bloody thing. They know that it's small on the outside. They saw it from the front, but they still walk around the whole thing. So why don't we have footage of a camera going around the whole of the Earth? Not CGI, because that's another problem when you look for NASA pictures of the Earth, is you come across so many actual real ones that people say that are CGI, like maybe from the film Gravity or maybe for some kind of demonstrative purposes. So it's very difficult to actually know, because no one ever writes, this is CGI and this is not CGI, so... So anyway, it's it just came to me why there isn't, of the North and the South Pole film, not on the space station, but from one of these cameras from a distance, so that because I would have thought we would see more of the rotundity from the top or the bottom, or at least we'd see the North and South Pole. But I would have thought, but I don't know, if it's a complete sphere and it's the same way, maybe it'll still look like the blue marble picture. It'll still look like a circle drawn on a piece of paper, like 2-dimensional, rather than looking 3-dimensional. But maybe from the side, slight angle, taking into account the tilt of the Earth, of course. Anyway, I think I've waffled on long enough. Take care, take it easy. God bless and peace.